Let's get started. So good afternoon, everyone. Just for introductions, glad to see you all here. Thanks so much for being on time. I hope your semester was off to a smooth start. Of course, you all can always feel free to message us, email us if you have any issues that we can help with. If you think that we can't, still email us. We'll put you on to the people that can. Okay, Happy New Year to all of us. I hope we have set some goals or meditated to the universe, whichever we do, to start our year off right. My name is Kathy Ann Lewis, for those of you who have not done any sessions with us. And today, of course, we are going to do the resume boot camp. So it's not a resume session, not a resume writing session. So let me see by an indication, a raise of hands, how many of us have already done a resume writing session? It doesn't exempt you from this session if you have not. Okay, let's see how many of you. Great. Colin, Rain, Anna, Amna. Okay, good. So we have some people that have completed the resume writing session. So if you have not, we have posted the link. I believe both links are up, but at least one should be up on the World of Work platform. And we would want you to go in and take a look at it as well. It's going to help you a lot. Today, our session would really be boot camp. We're just getting down and dirty, looking at what we have, making changes on your existing resume. As we go through the various steps, the resume writing videos will give you a little more in-depth information. But this is the opportunity as well. It's a smaller group. So this is the opportunity for you to ask questions that's very specific and unique to your resume. Everyone's resume is unique, though we have some broad range overarching concepts about creating and constructing a strong resume. Your resume is very unique, it's very personal. So before I continue, let me introduce you to your team. These members, team members, you may hear from a lot more often than you'll actually hear from me, but we work as a team. Um, I'll let Miss Mitchell go first and then Miss Romano. And once Romano is finished with her introductions, she's going to introduce you all to the World of Work platform, where we expect that once you leave the session, you would go to that platform, register for the World of Work program, and view the resume writing and interview prep resumes that we have posted there for your information. So let me pass you on to Ms. Michelle.
Hi guys. Well, as you all can see in the Zoom chat, my name is Nandi Mitchell. If any of you all are in second year and doing the executive transition program, you would be familiar with me. I've been the one liaising with you. I've also been speaking to some of you all with regards to the bootcamp, some of you all who missed the previous sessions and wrote to me. So some of you all should recognize my name. I'm here this afternoon just as a support to Miss Lewis in helping you guys get your resumes right and ready for the job market. So looking forward to this session and put those questions in the chat box. If you don't have any background noise where you are, we love hearing your voices, and even better yet, you can turn on your cameras because we love seeing you because we don't see any students anymore. So, if you do have something to say, feel free to turn on your camera, unmute your mic, and let us know. Um, the session should be roughly 2 hours. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Hi guys, my name is Nyla Romano. A lot of you WOW students may be familiar with me. I send out a lot of the emails. You're all always emailing me, asking me questions, asking me for password resets, those kind of things. So I am the one on the back end. I respond to all your emails, even on the, those of you familiar with the WOW a website, the chat feature, we're all there. I'm there as well, and I'll be the one that you'll communicate with most of the time. So yeah, so today I will just really be going through as well as providing support, but I'll mainly be going through the WOW platform. So this is for the final year students. Those of you who have registered or haven't registered as yet, we hope that you do. So I'll just go ahead and share my screen and go through the interface with you all. So you all may have to give me a quick second. Let me show you the introduction page, and then when I switch over to the next page, I'll have to stop share and reshare again, right? So if you see a pause in my sharing. Okay, so this is your basic homepage if everybody is seeing. This is the main page that you'll see, your homepage, about us, sponsors, media library, that kind of thing. To the top of the page, you'll see login and register. We also have our social media handles here. So these are links, active links. You can click on and you'll see our Facebook page. We're very active there. We share vacancies, we share WOW information in terms of upcoming events and that kind of thing. All our contact information is to the top of the screen. If you scroll down, you'll just see a bit about the various events and workshops that we have, and you could click through that and you'll just get a little write-up on some of the events. And this is basically, we have a few testimonials, and that's basically what the intro page looks like, the home page. So let me just, if you all are registered already, you'll just log in from here. If you're not registered, you click register, you enter your student information. We ask for basic information such as your student ID number, your GPA, and that kind of thing. So let me just click login and reshare. Right. So I have already entered my student ID and a password, and you click login. When you log in, this is your home page, this is your profile, your student profile. At the top here, we'll see all the various events. In each event, that's kind of like a resource hub where we keep all of any updates we want to share with you all. So if you see, this is your main, this is for all events. So we have attached the save the date. Many of you would have received this via email, seen it on our social media, that type of thing. This is just an update with all dates, all events. So if I go ahead and go into seminar, you'll see the flyer for seminar, and this is our news update. So any news regarding that event, we post it here. If the event is cancelled, if we have any dates, times, we have all of that here for you. Click through, you'll see it's the same for each one. Resume writing has a little bit more because we have the resume writing recording, which I believe Ms. Lewis was referring to today earlier. So if you click on this, the video will pop up, and you can view the first resume writing workshop. We have to upload the second one, but either one will do if you view any of those. This would have been the link for the 3 resume writing boot camps. So this is where you would have gotten that link, and then any updates with regards to the resume writing program session. So then we have, if we go to the rest, it's basically the same. You'll see the flyer again. So any updates, as I mentioned before, any updates that we have with respect to these events, we'll post them here. And it's the same for the other events. If we go along to upload photo, this is where you can upload your professional photo. So it could be a headshot, and we could give you some feedback on that photo, because I mean, in this age, we might have to do a lot of that, creating online profiles and that kind of thing. So this might be helpful in that regard. So if you choose to, you can update your profile with a photo. It should be professional, and we could give you a little feedback on that. If you go on to upload resume, we will advise, most times we'll advise when you should upload your resume, but if you've done a resume writing workshop, or you've done, for instance, this boot camp, and you feel like you're satisfied with the quality of your resume, and you feel like you want to post it here, we will be able to see them. But the only how you can delete a resume is by submitting a request to us. So you all can delete or make any changes to the resume after you've uploaded it here. So you can submit a request to me or anyone on the team, and we'll pass on that information to the administrators, and you can remove the old one and then upload your new resume. So we go on to GEMS. GEMS would basically be your attendance for all WOW events. So your seminar, your resume writing workshop, interview prep, that kind of thing, you'll get a gem for attendance. And this is how we track student attendance. So some of you may see some gems there, some of you, and some, if you're missing a gem, that's probably because we are still updating some of the information. So if you don't see one, don't get worried just yet. And let me go on to the really cool feature, which is our chat. So in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a little bubble there appearing. So you enter your student ID, your name, email, and your question. And when you click Start Chat, you will automatically be entered into a live chat with any one of us will be there waiting to assist. Any questions that you may have, any queries, navigating the website, anything like that, feel free to reach out and we'll be there in live real time waiting to respond to you. One thing I should mention, password resets. If you all happen to forget your passwords for any reason, and you need to submit a request to reset it. So that's one thing you should know. You cannot change your password without submitting a request to us. So as well as deleting a resume, any changes to the platform, you'll need to let us know. I will put my email in the chat and the career.place email, which is the general email address for the department. If you all have any additional queries, you all could go ahead and forward it to there or live chat. I prefer live chat because it's real time, I'm there. So, but if you all have any other queries and stuff, I'll put the email addresses in the chat. So yeah, that's it for me and the platform. I will hand you back over to Miss Lou.
Thanks, Nyla. I was just, let me enter full screen. Yes. I was just answering some questions in the chat there. One of the students asked about the sessions that went previously. What we do is we divide the sessions by groupings. So we'll have sessions for the STEM students, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. Not faculty, but concentration. And then we have a session for social sciences and liberal arts. They differ slightly in terms of what the resume should look like, but you can view either of them. And of course, we will post the other one up. Yeah. I'm trying to get on here. Give me 1 minute. Right. There was another question. If we upload our resume, will we get feedback on it? Yes. The key is to beat the time, because as we get closer to recruitment time, a lot of students choose then to upload all the resumes. So the quicker you do it and upload it, the more time we have to give you some feedback. Yeah. Okay. So let's start our session for today. Of course, as we said, it's the boot camp, not the resume writing session. What we hope to achieve, we hope that you'll have a clearer idea about what is needed to create a winning resume, that you can execute strategic changes to your resume. So again, while we are going through this session, we expect you to be making changes to your resume. It's even better if you are doing it on your laptop or your iPad or even your phone, because you'll actually be doing it in real time and you may come across any questions that you want answered. You will review the sections of the resume. Of course, we want you to ask relevant questions, interact with us, guys. And of course, there'll be a sharing of information. This is the beauty of the smaller sessions. You may ask a question that you think you're the only one having the issue with, but in actuality, you will help a lot of people. So we can share information and help support each other in this process. Okay, our rules of engagement. We are recording the session, and this, of course, is so that we'll be able to share it. So if you have any questions, you can always go back, view the video, have a second look at something that we discussed. To receive maximum benefit from this section, you must have a copy of your resume. Again, it's not a resume writing session. Please feel free to view the online video or contact us if you have not attended a resume writing session. You're expected to make changes to your resume as we go along. Mute your microphones unless you're contributing. Use the raise hand feature in the chat box and one of the team will acknowledge you. Of course, we want it to be an interactive session. It's not a lecture. I don't want to feel as though I'm lecturing. Ask questions, clarify confusion, and of course, we leave with a better crafted resume. Yes? So what I'll do is I'll go through each section, and then at the end of the section, we have the question and answer segment, but feel free, of course, to put questions in the chat if you're in the middle of a section. We'll have them answered, right? Excellent. So the purpose of a resume, let's have some interaction. What's the purpose of the resume? Who remembers? To get an interview. Yes. Landing that interview. Yes. Anything else? To advertise yourself. Yes, Iran. To sell yourself as the right candidate for a position. Yes. All good answers. A first impression. So the overarching purpose, of course, is to get that interview. But as everyone rightfully said, you want to land that ideal interview, and you do that through selling yourself. Your resume, in this case, is your biggest marketing tool to land the interview. It doesn't get you the job, right? In most cases, you never know how it goes, but it's ideally to get your foot in the door to get that interview. Excellent. So I want to talk about, so we know we have the different types of resume, the overarching types, like the functional resume, which you will find people with a lot of experience would use a functional resume or a CV. And then we have the chronological resume, which most of our students will do. It's organized in reverse chronological order. So we'll talk about that. But today I want to tell you a bit about a magnet resume and a grabber resume. Your magnet resume is that resume that you're going to create to send to anyone. It targets all jobs. It's a resume you use to post broadly online, and you can market yourself for a number of possible vacancies. The magnet resume is also probably the resume that you are going to send to us for us to save on the platform and use to distribute to recruiters and employers. The grabber resume, on the other hand, is a bit more targeted for a specific position or vacancy, or marketing yourself for a specific job, or you're responding to a vacancy that was posted. Sometimes we will contact you to send us a grabber resume. We would want you to be a little more specific, but it's not the resume that by and large we would keep on the platform. We usually keep the magnet resumes so that we can quickly distribute them to a number of possible opportunities, right? The grabber resume is the one where you see this vacancy or you know of this internship that you want to apply for, and you're going to make it very specific, right? And so you'll be using keywords or terms that you would have seen in the vacancy, right? A lot of companies now are using they are using automatic tracking systems for resumes. So they will be looking for specific words and terminologies and the automatic system is going to use that to select your resume. Right? So let's go. Any questions before we get into the section? No? Okay, great. So let's continue. So talk to me a little about the sections of a resume. Education is one, quite correct. Work experience, education, certificates, objectives, work history, relevant experience, skills. Great, excellent answers. Let me address a couple objectives. So in the past, most resumes started with an objective, right? We have moved away from that somewhat, unless I have a student that has absolutely no work experience, no volunteer experience, has that student does not really have anything that they can use on their resume to enhance their chances of being selected. We might use an objective, because in that case, they are really looking for an opportunity for some experience, right? We are more leaning towards a personal profile. Some people call it a profile, personal profile, professional profile, personal statement, professional statement. You'll see a number of words. And we'll discuss that. I'll go through that in a little while. Notice as well, some people say work experience, work history, relevant experience. They are all the same heading, but we'll talk about the differences in a while. Skills, important, your contact information, accomplishments, yes. Profile summary, excellent, Samantha. Profile summary or objective statement, yes. The reference, as well, just as in the case of the objectives, in the past we would put references on our resume. That's not traditionally done anymore, right? Why? Because it is expected that you will have references if you are asked to come into an interview. That's when they'll actually be checking your references. When they interview you, they'll have a better idea of if you're a potential hire, and they will ask for references. Even putting references available upon request, because now employers and recruiters, they prefer, if it's a resume, not a CV. If it's a resume, they really prefer that one-page resume. They give you that opportunity to use that page for the absolute most important information, the most relevant information that you want to put on your resume. So we'll talk more about that as we go along. So excellent. So this is an overview. Of course, your name, address, and your contact information and email, your profile or profile summary, personal profile, education. Okay. Now notice the headings are bold. What you actually do when you create your resume, always tell yourself, in addition to marketing yourself for that all-important job, you actually are setting up the recruiter to read your resume. So notice we have very bold headings. If they want to jump to your work experience, it stands out. If they want to look at additional skills, they are probably looking for SPSS or Java or some other programming language or R, they would know exactly where to look. Additional skills or certifications, right? Note also that we have what we call enough white space. Well, in this case, blue, but When we say enough white space, when you look at your resume, and more your resumes will be reviewed online in our current reality, you must feel comfortable looking at your resume. Have a sister or a friend look at it as well. They should also feel comfortable. If you do not feel comfortable looking at your own information, it means that the recruiter or the employer may have some difficulties looking at it. So you must feel comfortable. You mustn't have to squint to recognize anything. You should not be confused by what you're reading. Okay? It should be clear that you took your time, you did a proper summary of your skills, your abilities, your knowledge, your competencies, and it's well laid out on that page. Yes, we have one question. Can work experience come before education? Yes, I'll talk about that. If you don't hear me mention it, just remind me. Who's that? Aisha, right? You'll just remind me if I don't mention it, but I'll mention it coming up very soon. Right? So education. When you are writing your education, you want to do it in reverse chronological order. That means your most recent educational attainment must be first in that section or segment. Yes, some students, believe it or not, will receive your resume. The University of the West Indies is nowhere to be found. If we do have some time, we would go in and search for it, put it in for you. That's providing you have uploaded a Word document. We can make those changes sometimes, right? But always remember to include your most recent educational attainment first, reverse chronological. The institution, right? Always ensure that your institution is visible so it's clear which school, which university, which institution you received your certification from. Yeah. Any certificates that you may have, you would want to include it there, be it, if let's say you did a certificate at Open Campus or diploma at Open Campus or COSTAT or UTT before you came to the university. But it also speaks to, let's say you did a certification, you did co-curricular courses in Microsoft Office Suite. You want to include that, right? The police certificate that FSC students do. If you did a course on R programming, SPSS, any certifications, legitimate of course, that you receive from online agencies, you would want to include that as here. We want to see the year. What year did you obtain these certifications? And we know we do have students that have worked for a while and have now come back to university. We can have a session with you to show you how you would lay that out, right? Not to compromise yourself or your resume, right? You ensure that you include the Bachelor of Arts or BA, Master of Arts, PhD. You can write it out or you can use the shortened version, right? Just to say something, for those students that will be graduating this year, you still need to include a year. So you can put expected graduation in the section. You can put expected graduation. You can put 2017 to 2021, anything like that. We want to go ahead and include that. For second year and first year students, you can put your entrance year. You can put currently pursuing. Yeah. If you have done majors, like a double major, or you have done a minor or double minor, of course you want to include that. because that would make your positioning even stronger by showing that not only that you have challenged yourself, but that, for example, I have done a communications degree, but I've also done a minor in HR. Yeah? So it makes you a bit more competitive if you ensure that you list your minors or your majors. Some students may have completed a major, started to complete a minor, but did not finish for whatever reason. Sometimes financially, they didn't have the extra money to pay for the minor, or um, if they had to complete a minor, they would have to come back for one semester to complete one course. So they didn't complete the entire minor. You can always put courses completed towards attainment of the minor, or towards a minor in psychology, and you state those courses. Right? Your GPA. Ideally, if your GPA is above 3.0, we want you to go ahead and state that. Exactly where you put it, we can discuss when we get into the sections, but you want to go ahead and state that strong GPA. Please note, students, that a strong GPA is not going to guarantee you that job. They are looking for that well-rounded, holistically developed UE graduate, that distinctive UE graduate that have done perhaps internships, that have volunteered, that does a little tutoring in the primary school in the community, or at their secondary school, that help students in the community, that have done something during COVID, or got a group together to give food baskets out for when we had the last flooding. What have you done? What certifications have you done? What are your soft skills? They want that well-rounded candidate. If you follow companies, you will notice that they are very much involved in the community, and they want employees that buy into that as well. Right? So any questions? Can work experience come before education? Okay, great. Any other questions? Okay, so let's continue. One question. For persons early in their careers, do we need to state our secondary school as well? Yes. Even for students who have, unless you have, let's say, 10 years or more experience, you don't need to state secondary schools. But most of our younger grads, newer grads, you'll state your secondary school as well. And we'll show you some examples of resumes as we go along. Please note, and I want to say, there is no one way to create a resume. There is no one way. You just have to ensure that it's easy to read, it's well laid out, and you have put forward your strongest possible advertising campaign. You should be asking yourself, what is my value statement? What am I bringing to this position or to this company? For persons early, okay, so we have that one. If I did the co-curricular courses for Word and Excel and I got certification, do I put that in education section or the additional skills? You can put it in additional skills if it's going to make the resume stronger. I would suggest that you put it in additional skills. You can also put it in technological skills if you want to create that section or segment. Remember, the section or segments that you use, apart from like work experience and education, is very unique to you, the individual. So if you are a computer science student or an IT student or electrical and computer engineering, you might have an entire section with technological skills, and you may put it there, right? It may also be competencies, and you can put Excel, Word, and it's also good if you have done the co-curricular courses with us. You have received the international Microsoft certification, so you want to include that, right? That's opposed to someone who has the ability to use Word and Excel and so on, which is the majority of us really, right? But when you can put Microsoft Corporation certified, it gives a little oomph. Remember, what is your value statement, right? Do you
I
need to
just
include?
I just wanted to jump in with education, secondary school. If you did both CSEC and CAPE at the same school, you don't have to put the name of the institution twice. You can put the name of the institution once. That's going to help you save space. And then just put the entire 7-year period for the date, right? And the other thing would be you want to separate CAPE from CSEC. So CAPE will come first because you're going in reverse chronological order. And you can, sometimes students, say for example, they did physics, maths, and economics. Sometimes they say physics unit 1, physics unit 2, math unit 1, math unit 2. That tends to take up too much space. So you don't have to say unit 1 and unit 2. You can just list going across the subjects that you specialized in. The mandatory subjects that you do at the CAPE level, you don't even necessarily have to, if you're listing the subjects, you don't necessarily have to list those 2 subjects, the mandatory ones, because it is understood that you would have completed those subjects. However, if you wanted to if you chose to not list the subjects going across, but just to see how many you did, well, then you would include the mandatory ones as part of the count. So it'll be 5 subjects completed, right? So, and for CSEC, generally speaking, you don't list the subjects you did at CSEC. You can see how many subjects completed. 8 subjects, 10 subjects completed. So just to note that for the secondary school section. And a little later on, you'll see a couple of examples of what that could potentially look like.
Yeah, and in the listing as well, only remember you have a page to make your value statement. So list only if you think you will come up a bit short on space on your page, and we don't want a resume that reaches half a page or 3/4 of a page if we can avoid that, or if listing the subjects is going to improve your value statement, make your resume stand out a little more. For example, if let's say you're doing psychology but you did IT or CAPE or CSEC or languages. Sometimes languages is a section to have on your own to highlight the fact that you are multilingual or bilingual, as the case may be. I can probably say I'm bilingual, but really I did Spanish up to Form 3. I did French up to Form 5. Can remember very little of both. But if you have done it at this stage, you would really want to put that you have some type of certification. So you may want to pull out a section if you have foreign language competency, particularly if you did it at O levels, A levels, or if you did it at the Center for Language Learning here on campus. Yeah. Do you need obtain from participation in things? Yes, of course, if it's going to improve your value statement, of course. Model United Nations. So I didn't do model. Yes, I did Model United Nations. I did also the parliamentary debate as well. If I am doing my resume, that is of no value, because if I did it then, like 2 years ago, and I haven't done anything related to that up to this point, it's not going to add anything to the value of my resume. However, for you all, that's quite a recent something. So you want to go ahead and include that you participated in Model United Nations. However, you would not want to put it in the education section, right? that may be extracurricular involvement. Yeah, it's you won't really want to put that. When you think about of education, think about certification. When you think about education, yeah. Another question, Priya is saying, as a social work student, where do I put my practicum experience? Great. So you want to put your practicum experience in the education section. You can, right? This is how every resume is unique. So once you have listed your major, if you have a minor, then you want to put your practicum project, right? And you want to give a line or two, right, about maybe where your practicum experience was located or what was the nature of your practicum experience, because it's going to improve your value statement. It's saying that I'm a social work student among 300 that will be graduating, but my expertise is working with young men at YTC, right? That says something in particular, particularly if you're applying to the prison service or if there's some program that involves, we have a lot of focus now on our young men because, the research is showing that they are not as involved as we would want them to be in higher ed. Kudos to those who are here, Mikel and company, we love you. So you may be applying to some new program the government is advertising, or Gary Griffith is creating, the job double G is creating a number of new initiatives, and including that you have done your practicum with the prison service or the police service or with a police youth club. We have some students that work with police youth clubs. Is going to improve your value statement. Yeah, so you want to go ahead. Engineering students as well. You want to go ahead and include your engineering project, FSC. You want to go ahead and include your projects, any research projects that you have done that will improve your value statement. You want to include it there. Yeah. Mikkel, is there a need to distinguish between additional skills and soft skills? Well, we usually tell students your soft skills, apart from being evident, for example, your teamwork skills will be evident on your resume because it will definitely show if you were involved in any team activities or group activities. But we usually say highlight your soft skills as part of your personal statement. Sometimes some students, depending on the length of your resume, some students would choose to put it as a list of personal skills at the top of their resume or at the end. So the soft skills, it's not, we usually don't give a heading that says soft skills, right? But additional skills, you will definitely probably have a heading for that and include it after work experience, or depends on your resume, of course, may come after work experience, or if you have a lot of volunteer experience, you put that first. When you are making your value statement, you want the strongest things to appear first. Yes?
Just want to jump in with soft skills. As Ms. Lewis was saying, it really depends on your resume. So it's possible that it could be peppered throughout your resume in different places. You'll pick the key ones to go in your profile, your value statement. Maybe your work experience, you have some soft skills there that you want to let the recruiter know about. So it may be there. It could be if you decide to expand on your volunteer experience. Sometimes students just list the organizations they volunteered with. Sometimes students go even further to see what skills they used at those volunteer organizations. So it might be, you might find the soft skills showing up there, right? So as Ms. Lewis said, you may not have a heading called soft skills, right? It may be in throughout your resume in different sections, depending on what you choose right? Because as Ms. Lewis has been saying, it's a judgment call, right? And each person's resume is going to be different. And then even for each person, each separate resume to every different organization or job posting is going to be different. So it could be throughout the resume, right? And by soft skills, just in case anybody is a little bit confused, soft skills are the skills that you take with you regardless of the industry or the job that you're doing, right? So communication, leadership, those are examples of soft skills. Um, Hard skills or technical skills is sort of like what it is you're studying. So if you're doing engineering, all of those engineering theories and calculations and those things would be your hard skills. If you're doing Spanish, then that Spanish language would be the hard skills. Sometimes they could overlap a little bit, right? But essentially, soft skills are sort of um, those transferable skills that you take with you everywhere, and you get soft skills just basically through experience, right? Just being out there and having it. This is why we tell students try to do as many things as possible because that is how you get your soft skills through volunteering, working in groups, just day-to-day life. That's how you get your soft skills.
Yeah. Okay, Jaishri, if I do not have a certificate for volunteer work or community service, do I exclude that? Of course not. Of course not. You include it on your resume because you'll be improving your value statement. What you can do is when it's time to go to the interview, speaking prophetically here, you can ask one of the organizations that you volunteered with, even if it's a community group, your church, your mosque, your temple, you can get one of the recommendations from there. So that's going to validate what you have included on your resume. Yeah. Just be honest because sometimes people will include stuff on their resume. You say, you volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. And there we have someone who works every month with Habitat and they have never seen you there, right? Or they ask you a question during the resume that you can't speak to. So when is the last time you volunteered, right? And what did you do, right? Just be honest. But of course, it's not every volunteer opportunity that you will get a paper to validate that you have been. If you volunteered with us through the student services, you can request a letter. We will give you a letter indicating all of the services that you have done and all of the hours that you have volunteered. But it's not absolutely necessary, right? You include your research project under education, yes, in most cases. It's very unique, but that's where we would like to see. Just under your major, you would include your research project. And of course, your research skills would be a value statement for you that you can include in your profile or in an additional skills section. I've also used that list simply classified as skills. Yes, yes, Mikhail, you can do that. Great. So if we have no further questions, we can continue. And guys, if you think of a question as we go along, please ask it. What I want you to do now is just take a look at your resume. Think about what we have gone through. Are you comfortable looking at your resume? Okay, note to self, rearrange or use a different font. Increase the margin. Okay, decrease the margin. Make these notes to yourself. Include UE as my first educational experience. Right? Do you have your major there, your minor? Is it clearly laid out? Is it clear to you what you're indicating to the reader? Right? And then we go on to the next section. So someone had a question on, do we put professional experience first or education first? If you have a lot of professional experience, work experience, or job related experience, you want to go ahead and put that before your degree. However, if you don't have a lot of it, like 10 plus years, you want to go ahead and put your education first. And if you have 10, 15 years of experience, and you're applying for a particular job, but your experience is not related to the job you're applying for, put your education first, because your degree would speak more to that opportunity. Yeah, we have 2 questions there. Is it necessary to add descriptions under each subtitle? And can you repeat where to add GPA? Okay, so GPA. So I will show an example, but for example, let's say you're doing linguistics. So you'll put Bachelor of Arts or BA Linguistics. Just by it there, you can put GPA 3.5 or whatever. Remember, your GPA adds to your value statement, so you can put everything else in normal text, but you can put GPA in bold, just as your headers, so that it stands out. Yeah, you don't want to put too many things in bold, but just that GPA would be GPA 3, like 5, 6 words, alphanumeric. You can go ahead and put that there where you completed your major, right? Well, under this section, so we'll talk about the sections and the descriptions that we include. Okay, so we'll get into it. Right. So you must put the employer or the organization. Where did you get this professional experience or related experience? So let me explain something. Professional experience, work experience, job experience, very general. It encapsulates everything. Job related experience means that particular job that you're applying for, this experience I'm putting here, it's directly related to that. So for example, you're an engineering student, but when you completed your A-levels for that little vacation time, you worked at RIK or Charon's, we do a lot of that, or you worked in a garage. Then you did your engineering degree and you did 2 internships. Job-related experience would be the engineering internships. Other experience would be Charon's. And of course, that's where you gained your problem-solving skills, those soft skills you were talking about, your problem-solving skills, your ability to relate to people from all different spheres. Yeah, that's going to be other experience. Location. So where was this employer located? For example, if you worked at, what's an example? A good example. Okay, if you worked at RBL, yeah? Was it RBL Chabonas branch, Point Fortin branch? What's the location? The job title. What was your specific job title? Right? It speaks a lot. Sometimes it doesn't actually, but it helps, particularly if it's related to the job that you're applying for and you're using this grab a resume. If it's going to improve your value statement, be sure that it's identified. The dates, right, of the employment, outstanding accomplishments, or most relevant job skills. So in the past, and we still do it sometimes, because not everyone has an opportunity to create these outstanding projects when they do internships. Sometimes your internships is really just filing, right? Through networking, you have an opportunity. So in those cases, we'll ask you to put a list of what you have done, what you have accomplished. But remember your value statement. You want to see the most outstanding accomplishments for each job opportunity, your most relevant job skills. Did you digitize their system? Did you transform some process? Did you introduce a new way of doing things? Did you make a process easier to execute? Did you combine, divide, and we want to see those strong and commanding resume verbs, right? So just search resume verbs, 500 resume verbs, 1,000 resume verbs. Professor Google will give you a number of lists, right? And when you are creating your resume, we want strong resume verbs. Any projects that you completed, right? A lot of our employment opportunities now are very project driven and team driven. What projects did you work on? You didn't have to be the team lead. Of course, if you were the team lead, that would be excellent. But depending on the company you worked with, you won't be the team lead. They would include you in an already existing team, right? And you want to state, for example, is it just a regular engineering team, a mechanical engineering team? Did you work as part of a cross-functional team, right? That's an additional value statement. So for example, you went in as an engineering trainee, but on that particular team, there was someone from HR, someone from projects, 3, 4 people from the engineering department, the procurement department. Were you part of a cross-functional team? You want to see that in your resume. Those are your value statements that must be reflected. So what I want you to do now is go ahead and look at your work experience, relevant experience, job-related experience. Highlight those verbs. Ask yourself, am I making my best possible value statement by the verbs that I have used? If not, go ahead and circle those verbs, or if you're on your computer also, highlight those verbs that you want to consider changing, right? At minimum, guys, thesaurus.com or Word has a thesaurus finder. So you can do that. You want those strong verbs, right? Transformed, re-engineered, collaborated, partnered, instituted, integrated, designed, created, change, transform. You want to see those words transitioned. You want to see those words playing a part. Yeah? So now we move on to our additional sections. So let me ask you, what are some additional sections that you think about yourself? What are some additional sections you may want to include on your resume? Think about your unique resume. What are some possible sections you may want to include that will improve your value statement? Achievements, yeah? Absolutely. Past, Deborah Hubert, when you say, could you talk a little more about that? Oh, no, not a problem. Given that one page, maybe the ID length for a resume, are we to select the most recent volunteer and work experience, etc.? Yeah, so if you have a lot of volunteer and work experience after graduating from high school, secondary school in this case, you can choose, you make that selection about what stands out in your value statement. And if there's something in your secondary school that you think would strengthen your value statement, that you can leave something out from university because it's similar to something else that you did while you're at university, you can leave that. Remember, it's a balancing act. It's a decision to include something or not. And although we have had instances where one page for your resume is ideal, but you don't want to cheat yourself, right? You don't want to cheat yourself. Absolutely. If there are some things that would really strengthen your value statement and you absolutely cannot leave anything out, of course, go ahead and include it, but the ideal is one page. Sporting experience, yes. But you, Deborah, right? But you can put extracurricular involvement, right? Additional certificates such as Word, PowerPoint specialist, absolutely, Anika. Under education, can we put our achievements under that section or separate? I would say if you have about at least about two or three, you can go ahead and do a separate section that says achievements. So for example, let us say you have consistently been on the dean's list, right? You can have a section that says achievements, and on the dean's list will be a bullet point, and you put 2018, 2019, 2020, right? Ensure that in your profile, you say, and this goes for education, it goes for work, it goes for skills, volunteer experience, consistent evidence of successive evidence of strong academic achievement, hard work, anything like that. You want to make that profile solid. And when you say that in your profile, there you go in the achievements or accomplishments that it supports what you have said in your profile. No, Natalia, unless you have a lot of work experience, you don't want to omit your high school. We'll talk about that a bit when I show you some examples. Leanne, if you have counseled, is your degree psychology? Was this counseling part of your practicum, or is it that you write? So if it's part of your practicum experience, we have to be careful, particularly with degrees like, oh, you mean the Mind the Gap course? Yeah, of course. Of course you want, yes, of course. And people may not know what Mind the Gap is. So you put the extended course title, and that will give them a little explanation, because Mind the Gap means something to you and I, but to the average person, amazing, Anika. For the average person, it may not necessarily. Anika and Liana, let me talk to you all a little after the session. I want to ask you something. But to the average person, it may not mean anything. So you want to tell them what Mind the Gap is, right? Which is, I think, is emotional and psychological well-being or something. So you want to go ahead and put that it's a co-curricular course, right? Yes, it was a co-curricular course. Academic awards, definitely Nikolai. Absolutely, absolutely. Mental health and well-being, exactly, right? So you want to put co-curricular course, right? In Mind the Gap, mental health and well-being, or maybe give a little more, like a one-liner if you have the space, or a two-liner to kind of flesh out what it is. Yeah. I did a co-curricular course, technology literacy, absolutely, absolutely. You can put that in certifications. Yeah, you can put that in certifications. High school, yes, but it depends again on your value statement, how far back these awards were. If you have the space, definitely by all means. But if you have stronger value statements for awards that's more recent, or if you can omit awards but put accomplishments or co-curricular courses, volunteer experience, team projects, right? It's a value statement. So you choose what you're going to include, because remember, as our participants said, we are marketing ourselves. So you want to have the strongest marketing package. Yeah. Do you have to have the certification in the co-curricular course, or if you did it, you can still put it? No, no, no. If you did it as a co-curricular course certification, that's fine. If you didn't do it as a co-curricular course, of course, absolutely. Absolutely, Jamelia, you include it, right? You is not the only place that's offering the Microsoft certification. Yes, if you have worked on election day, it's all about, Sarah, how you phrase that opportunity. So what exactly did you do? Is there a title? Were you, for example, the returning officer? Because returning officer, it doesn't identify you worked for PNM or UNC or ILP or PDP. It doesn't include that. But a returning officer says that Sarah Mohammed possesses a particular skill set, because a particular skill set is needed if you worked as a returning officer, whatever you worked as, whatever the position was during the elections. You are telling everyone that's reviewing your resume that you have a particular skill set. Where do I put my level A1 Spanish? You can have a section that says language competency, right? And remember, well, level A1 Spanish, right? Oral written competency, you could put in brackets. Yeah, but absolutely, absolutely. Right? Especially, guys, remember, if you have anything with distinction and so on, you just want to put it in there, distinction. Those of you who are national scholars, right? Please include it. I don't know. Some students forget for some reason. That's a huge achievement. That means of all the people that wrote the exam, you are a national scholar. Can you include the language in education? Yes, yes, Sarah, you can. But it stands out more in a section on, let's say, certifications and accomplishments, or certifications and achievements. If your concern is that you only have level A1 Spanish, if that's your concern, see if you have another section with, let's say, one or two things. Let's say someone wanted to include their sporting activity, then you could put you can put it under extracurricular activity and accomplishments. Even under extracurricular activities, I think that A1 Spanish competency would be lost. And language ability in our current environment is very important. It gives you the edge. So I would say definitely, if you have the space, use a heading for language competency. Of course, if not, you can put it under education. And guys, absolutely, always remember, this is your resume, right? We are making suggestions. We are giving you a framework within which you can create your resume, but this is your resume. When you look at it, move things around, shift it around, that you think will help you give your best value statement. Yeah. Any other questions? Can you include the language in? Oh, right.
I just want to add, sometimes, you fit everything into your sections and you might have a couple of things remaining and you don't know where to put it. Like maybe you have the level 1 in Spanish, and maybe you also have photography skills, photography. You could create a catch-all heading called like additional skills, where you could probably just wrap up, some things that you want the recruiter to know, but you can't quite fit it in your other categories. Additional skills is a way to just round that off.
Yeah. Just don't let it get lost. Important things like language competencies, you don't want it to get lost. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we have two people in the meeting. Okay. Let's go on. Right? So some additional sections, right? Your certifications, awards, volunteer experience, accomplishments, and any other that we can. Great. So we come to our profile, right? Which ideally replaces the objective or objective statement, personal profile, professional profile, profile, right? Your profile is a snapshot of your resume. As Ms. Mitchell was saying, the skills that you mention or reference in your profile should be peppered throughout your resume. You should find evidence of the majority of it throughout your resume, right? Know that your profile is the first thing that the recruiter, the employer is going to see. This is your first opportunity to highlight your relevant experiences, your skills, your knowledge, your abilities, your competencies. It's your first opportunity to market yourself to a particular recruiter or for a particular position, right? We usually ask our students to craft their profile after they have written their resume. After you have written the other sections, you can craft your personal profile. So we ideally want your profile to be 3 to 5 sentences, right? Think about the verbs that you're going to use to make your value statement. Think about those strong words, those skills that you want to highlight. Before you even begin writing, think about the things. You can go through your resume, underline, highlight, circle strong value propositions, and then say, these are the things I want reflected in my personal profile. These are the things I would like the employer or the recruiter to know about me because they are strong value propositions. You can also choose to use bullet points. Some people choose to use bullet points if their value statement, their profile is getting a bit wordy and they don't know how to accurately articulate it.
And the write your resume.
Sorry? Oh, not talking to me. Then you can put it in bullet points. Yeah, just not too much. You don't want your profile to take up half of your page, right? Because remember, some of the things will be in your resume. It will be evident, right? Right, your most relevant qualification and skills, and it sets out your goals for the job. What are you bringing to the employer? What are you bringing to that position? In other words, you're asking yourself, what do I have to offer? Why am I the best candidate for the position? Right? Of course, a snapshot of your resume and a summary of your cover letter. Right? Question. It was mentioned earlier that research projects should be placed in your majors. How would you highlight the project by placing the title? Okay, so under, and we'll show some examples. So under your major, Mikkel, what's your major? Physics and chemistry, right. Double major? Excellent. So, so you'll have a BSc or a Bachelor of Science, right? Be sure to include double major. If you put physics and chemistry, it's not as powerful, it's not as strong as saying double major, right? So you'd say double major, physics and chemistry. If you have that high GPA, you include it there. Under that, Mikkel, you will put research project, right? And your research project or your research paper would have a name, right? You include it there. For those students, I know sometimes in science and technology and engineering, sometimes in psychology and so on, I've seen that, yes, hold on, that your final paper, your final research paper, the lecturer has decided to submit it for publication. Of course, you want to include that. Submit it for publication. And if you know the journal name and so on, you can go on and include that. You are improving your value statement. Hmm? Excellent. Any advice for legal resume? Well, you use the same standard format. Of course, this is just standard, so you can change it, Kazim. However, if you did the moot court, if you have done any internships and so on, you want to go ahead and include that standout. For legal resume as well, the courses, sometimes depending on where you are submitting your resume, the courses that you have completed will be important. Yeah, likewise engineering. Some of those courses really stand out depending on where you are submitting the resume. Cousin, are you doing this resume? So are you completing your law degree? Are you coming out of Wooding? Or are you completing your law degree, but you're intending to work in the corporate arena? All that will, okay, year two, excellent. So if you have any internships that speak to your legal qualifications, of course you want to put that. If you have internships that do not, that's fine. If you are working on any unique projects or you are helping professors with a research, if you are part of the law faculty student body, you'll have an outstanding student leadership body, the law team. You want to put that. Moot court, if you're preparing for any debates, anything like that, you want to go ahead and include that. And of course, Kazim, excellent, excellent. And of course, you want to include strong verbs that have a leaning towards your degree, right? Negotiated, yeah? Problem solved, right? Critiqued, things like that. You want that to stand out. Also, when you are writing the legal resume, you may want to put a line or two, particularly if you're looking for an internship in a particular legal office and you know what their expertise is or their specialty, and it aligns to your career goals, you can include a line about that in your legal resume. Also, as a year two student, you probably just want to work in that environment just to learn, get an idea of how the office operates, right? And students, this goes to law students as well as all the other students, we know what the employment climate looks like. So in addition to having a very competitive resume, you also do not want to be in a position where you have not been hired, but you have decided not to do anything. Why? Because this is not going to last forever. And you don't want, when you come out of this period, 10 other colleagues spent time volunteering in whichever agency they have chosen to volunteer, and you were just the one waiting for the opportunity. And there's no harm in beginning to volunteer. And if you are called for a job, it's a volunteer position, and you let them know when you go in, you know. So if you are called to a position, then you will let them know you won't be able to volunteer full time or 3 days a week anymore because you have been called to an internship or full-time position, but you are still willing to help on evenings or Saturdays or remotely, right? I want you all to start thinking about how you can help remotely or how you can sell yourself for an internship remotely. You need to start thinking about that, right? I want you to remember value propositions. Kazim, did I
Uh,
help?
I just want to add to Kazim. You also want to say that you know how to use the different specialized research tools. So, like LexisNexis and other legal databases
Right.
that you'll use. You want to add that as well.
Right. Jamelia says, I know we have not reached this section as yet, but does being a class rep count as volunteer experience? Well, it is volunteer experience, unless they're paying, tell me, so I could volunteer to be a class rep. But that actually can go in a section that you probably want to call leadership experience, especially if you're class rep, but you've also been head prefect and you've also volunteered with the guild in some way. You have a history of leadership experience. You want to go and put that. And of course, that's a strong value proposition for your profile because you can put, you have a history, right? Or successive experiences in various leadership positions. Yeah, I know, Mikhail, but you get paid not money, not with money, but now you have a section that you can call leadership experience. And to understand students, when you're thinking about your value proposition, think about, for example, let's go with Mikhail since you're not getting paid, right? As a class rep, right? Because this is how you understand that skill set, your competencies, right? What were you called on to do? I remember as the engineering class rep, I remember an engineering class rep, and they had to send out emails like how we have this boot camp. They were the one who would send out this information on WhatsApp. They were the one, if the class group, the year body was having an issue, they are the one who would take it to the dean or the lecturer. That's a skill set, that ability to negotiate, right? Or represent your class body. That's a skill set. That's an ability that you want to highlight that is going to increase your value proposition. So it's not money, Mikhail, although we all want it, right? But it gives you a solid resume. Okay. So
Um,
any
I,
questions on your profile?
I just wanted to
Somebody,
jump in
yeah.
with regard to the profile. Like Ms. Lewis was saying, you want it to be like a summary of you want it to reflect the skills that you have in your profile. We want to be able to look in the body of the resume and see those skills expanded on a little bit more. Um, Also, just remember it's very unique and individual. So avoid cliches. So a cliche would be, for example, hardworking. A lot of people say that in their profile. You want to avoid that, or strong communication, strong communicator. You want to make sure that it drills down a little bit more in terms of what you specifically have to offer. So, for example, if you had work experience in your field of study, maybe you had a few internships directly related to your degree, that's potentially a line you could use in your profile. Proven work experience in the field, um, that would be unique to you if you were in that bracket, right? So drill down and make sure that your profile, it has to be short. You know, it's a bit of a challenge to get. Just know you can't fit everything, but you still want it to be unique.
Right? And remember, you have your resume. you, as Ms. Mitchell said, you can't put everything, but you have your resume that you can highlight some skills. Jamelia, can you have skills as a heading and put leadership under that? Yeah, leadership skills. But when you put that, you wouldn't just put leadership or leadership skills. Just maybe in a bracket, you can put, because you see, if you put skills, these will be all your skills: communication skills, problem solving skills, leadership skills, negotiation skills. So if you put that leadership experience under skills, where you speak, now the heading is skills. So when you put leadership skills, you now have to explain what that is, right? So not a problem at all. Not a problem at all, but just don't leave it hanging. Yeah?
And that's something I come across a lot with students. They have the section skills and then they list all the different skills. But you have to say where you use those skills, how you use those skills. You have to be able to prove it, right? So, so just as Ms. Lewis said, leadership, you want to be able to say in brackets something like you were head prefect or you were the president of a particular student group or something like that.
Yeah. Right? So guys, look at your profile now. Are you seeing those strong verbs? Right? Are you highlighting the skills, unique skills? And think about something that may be unique to you, even though it is not, but you're thinking, boy, I don't think a lot of people would have had this opportunity. Yeah? Do you think it's giving you that strong introductory paragraph? Well, it's important, Liana. It's important, but it may be something that meditation and that ability to keep calm. It is very important to speak about probably in your interview. They may ask you, how do you handle stress, right? And you will talk about it there. If you have other, let's say, extracurricular activities that are adding to your value statement, and that's a section, you can include that. Work well in high pressure situation. Without drugs, and you wouldn't put without drugs, but work well in high pressure situations. Yes, yes. But as if you have other information that you can include that is evident in the resume, you can put that. If not, you can put yes, works well under pressure, which is very important in some positions, right? If that, for example, is in a particular vacancy or job description, like works well under pressure, is not even as necessary to put it in the profile as to include examples. Put something in your resume. For example, if you're a student that did a double major, major minor, and so on, that shows you work well under pressure. Yeah? Yeah, Anika, tell me. Tell me what you want to talk about in the medical field. So did I, girl, Liana. So I totally understand. But they expect that everyone did. Anika. Yeah, we know your resume is a bit different, Anika. So did you want us to, I work in a pharmacy as a PCA? Great, that's excellent. So it's all about how you articulate that on your resume, of course. And you definitely would have related or relevant experience as a section. And you want to talk about your competency in dealing with drugs, we're talking about drugs in the global sense, yeah. These specified drugs, you also want to speak about that ability you have of dealing with confidential information. You know, sometimes you go in a pharmacy and they calling up, Kathy and Lois aspirin, Kathy and Lois aspirin. Of course, that's not you, Anika. So that ability to, and being working in a pharmacy is a very touchy something if you will well understand. So you want to highlight that competency that you have, people's privacy and confidentiality, your interpersonal skills, dealing with people that may be compromised in different ways. When they come to you, right? They may be saying very quietly what they came for because they don't want everyone around them to know what they came for. So that's a particular ability that you have that you want to highlight. Confidentiality, privacy, problem solving, dealing with delicate situation. Of course, I'll say delicate, but we will look at our resume verbs. That's going to best represent what you have, and you want to highlight that. Right? Can I ask what PCA, just to be... Excellent. A lot of skills there that you can work into your resume. So what I would advise, Anika, is that you list on a paper, just list everything that you do as a patient care assistant. And then you begin to pull out those things. And for everything that you pull out, get a strong verb that represents what you do. And you'll have a very strong resume, right? Great, so you want to include it. Why the upside down smile? That's good. That's good. Think about the skills you are gaining. Yeah. Okay, so any other questions, guys? Look at your resume. Think about what we have done. Let me share just 2 resumes with you, right? So this is Jane Smith, right? Notice that when I did that first template, the basic template with the resume, the background information was vertically represented on the page, right? Notice Jane has a lot of information. She went right down to her margin so that her information was placed horizontally, and that's fine, right? Notice Jane Smith is bold, right? No cursive fonts, right? Now, while we tell our students, try to avoid colors, like we don't want you to put, we had a student that put the background of palm trees one time. We don't want that. That's a bit much. I would prefer black and white. But what Jane has done here has actually benefited her. It has enhanced her resume because all her headings, and notice it's not a flashy color, right? It's very mild. It's a red, but closer to purple. It's not too much. It's not like, oh my God, what's going on here, right? It highlights her sections, right? Notice major and minor. She mentions both. If you have the space, I always prefer if minor comes under major here, I think it stands out a bit more. And I'll just make that quick change, right? Right? So if you have your major and then you have your minor, and you put a space, it stands out a little more than if it goes across. But of course, it all depends on the space you have. Yeah. Right. And then she has relevant courses. It's important for her. Public relations, written communication, oral communication. Right? Relevant courses or relevant skills. Right? Those of you who are asking about secondary school, she went to St. Francois. And there, Cape, Spanish, literature, and sociology. Remember, Miss Mitchell was speaking about leaving out the Caribbean history and communications, right? But she has listed here her A-level subjects, and then she had 8 CSEC subjects, right? If there are any subjects that you want to stand out, you can put including in brackets, right? That's if you have anything that you want to stand out. Relevant work experience. So this is relevant to the job that she's applying for, right? Corporate affairs intern. So she implemented something, managed and coordinated, those strong words, right? Lead group intern projects, right? Brand ambassador, right? Speaks to her communication skills as well. Created, engaged, provided, yeah. And then she had a relevant work experience, and then she has some additional work experience where she worked in SAC here with computer lab. Notice that she is highlighting here a technological ability, right? Her competency, right? Her membership and affiliations. Students, Trinidad and Tobago Students Association, communication studies. Note, although someone was asking, note, although she didn't put leadership experience as the heading, she has included here that she was a public relations officer both times and assistant events manager. So it speaks to her leadership skills, which she can include here in her personal profile, right?
Just want to jump in. Sorry. You can go ahead, Miss Willis.
No, that's yeah.
In terms of relevant work experience versus additional work experience, if you so at the beginning of the session, Ms. Lewis talked about reverse chronological order. So if something that's more relevant to what you're studying or more relevant to the job that you're applying for is not the most recent work experience, the relevant work experience heading helps you to bump that up to the top, right? Because when you look at this resume, if you were to go in reverse chronological order, the most recent thing is actually computer lab supervisor. But Jane wants the recruiter to see her work as a corporate affairs intern first, because remember, recruiters are only spending a few seconds looking at your resume. So you want to make sure they see the most relevant and the most important things first. So by creating relevant work experience section, she's able to bump that up and still include the additional work experience computer lab supervisor, which is good experience, good soft skills and leadership skills, because she worked as a supervisor, so that is also in keeping with public relations officer, assistant events manager, and her different positions in the youth group. So just wanted to point that out.
Question: if you had 3 positions in the same club over your time there, would you put a club, the position held, and the times during which the position was there? Yeah, of course, but it all depends, of course, on the amount of space you have, right? So you can, let's say Trinidad and Tobago Students Association, right? You can put, if let's say you were in the club from 2017 to 2020, so you can put Trinidad and Tobago Students Association 2019 to 2020, and underneath that you can put positions held, and you can list the positions. You understood that, Devante? Okay, great. Okay, so let me show you one more example from Anne Gordon, right? So Anne's is a little different. She didn't use colors. That's fine. She also went with the horizontal alignment, right? She listed, right, Cape biology, chemistry, environmental science. There we see Anne's GPA, 3.16, right? My little advice to Anne here, she could have put BSc, since environmental science with chemistry is kind of long. It would have given her, it would have made this more left aligned, and I would have advised her to put her dates closer to this side. It would have made for a more comfortable read. It would have given us some more white space. Yeah. Employment experience is automotives, designed, prepared, organized, responded, right? And she was the Cape coordinator's, the camp coordinator's assistant for Arima Primary School, Arima, in July 2018, right? She included that. Leadership experience. So here someone has actually put that heading. Faculty of Science and Technology. She was a peer advisor. She was also the vice president of the Environmental Club, director of community service. Now, I want to point something out to you. A lot of resumes would be read online, right? For example, your heading, not your headings, but your subheadings here, like the University of the West Indies, Arima Primary School, Arima, that you have bolded. Try to ensure that the font is different so that what is bolded actually stands out, right? So they can actually look at it and very easily identify and pull it out. So if you look here with Anne, everything sort of sinks one into the other, right? Whether, as opposed to if she had, let's say, maybe put education in all caps or brought education, centered it here, in line with Anne Gordon. So education would have been here, employment experience, leadership, computer skills, then the University of the West Indies bold, and this in another font. So the reading is easier. It's easier to find that information that Anne is trying to relay, right? And of course, her wealth of computer skills, and of course, her research, R and statistical packages. We have a question here. Even if the job you're looking for doesn't require it, can you still put relevant courses like oral communications, technology, literacy under education? Oral communication is very broad. If we remember Jane Smith, it sort of tied itself, her degree was communications and the jobs that were relevant. So oral communication is one of our value propositions, right? So it will all depend, as you said, every resume is unique. It will all depend on what else, what other skills you are putting forward. And the technology literacy, again, I would say, put that in another section, not under your education. You can, this is not saying that you can't, but I'm just thinking, and of course, it's when I actually see your resume, as the important, when I actually see your resume, I can say, put it here, because sometimes I will get a resume, I'll critique it. And I'll say, okay, Jamelia, take these recommendations, go home and make these changes. And so you go home and make the changes, you send it back to me. Then when I see it, I'm like, okay, let's put it back as it was before. Because it's this delicate balance between what you have to offer and how you represent it on the paper. So I will not tell any student, absolutely don't do this, absolutely don't do that, or definitely do this, because each resume is unique, because each individual is a unique individual that brings a unique set of skills and competencies to the training ground. Someone wanted to say something? Someone's mic is open. Feel free. Feel free. No shame in this game.
Miss Lou, I'm trying to remember, did you answer the question about whether work experience can come before education?
Yeah, I did. I did. Great. So we're approaching the hour and a half thing. I'm not a WOW student. I'm in the executive transition program. Is there an email for me to send you my resume for you to send the resume for critiquing? Nah, Miss Mitchell.
You can send it to me. My email address, I'll put it in the chat. We are going to give executive transition or students the opportunity to do one-on-one critiques. We just have to set the dates and create the rosters before we advertise it to students, but you could look out for it. In the meantime, that particular ETP, I didn't catch the person's name.
Kazim Fleury.
Kazim, yes, you can send your resume to me in the meantime and I can look at it for you.
We are also going to include an evaluation, a short evaluation for you all to fill out for us. If you can do that, please tell us how we can improve. If I did a math course, math lab, yep, definitely. I don't like you. I would say included Kazim, right? Don't deny yourself the opportunity. But MATLAB, saying that you can actually use MATLAB, says that you probably can use other software. Daniel, sorry, says that you can use other software. So you don't want to not put it. Remember, it's your value proposition. If you get a job where, well, when you get to the interview, you'll have that opportunity to negotiate that. But I would say, I would say, but it's anything that would strengthen your value proposition. What if you have the experience, but you don't consider yourself good at it in the software? Unless you want to put basic, intermediate, and advanced, I would say don't. I would say put it and take some time to practice, Shakila, particularly if it's relevant. Particularly if it's relevant. Right? Especially any type of, guys, in our current environment, any type of software, anything that you can do remotely, you want to be able to mention that. Excel, Access, anything that you can, that helps your value proposition in terms of working remotely, you want to go ahead and include that.
Just want to jump in and say, as we have Anne Gordon's resume still showing, in the computer skills section, if she wanted to, she could have created subcategories as well and separated her research, the software that she knows for research, R and SPSS. She could have, under computer skills, she could have created a subheading research software and listed those two. And then, research programs and listed those two, and then another subheading for the other programs, right?
So guys, I'll bring Nyla back in a bit to talk some more. But remember, on the 28th, we have the seminar for the world of work. A lot of good information, very important information we get there. We are having Goldie Bruce. Remember, she worked at CCN Channel 3, I believe, and she has migrated and she works in the States now. So she will be giving us some background on making small transitions in our current environment. So go on to the World of Work platform, make sure you register for the program. We can have your information, upload your resume. I'll bring Nyla to recap some information for you. And that session on the 28th, we have emailed the information. Is also available on our website. For those of us still looking for an opportunity to improve our value statement, on Thursday, we have a co-curricular information session. So if you want that mental health and counseling that Liana and so on are speaking about, we'll have some information on that that will be shared. You want to go ahead, get that information, sign up for a co-curricular course to improve your value proposition. That's on Thursday. If you want, we can send you the link, or it's also been sent out via marketing and from our office. Okay, it didn't come out as the link. So Nandi, you could go ahead and share. Nandi will reshare that link. Nyla has for that information, guys, to complete the form. I passed the amount of co-curricular credits for a student. Okay, that's excellent. That's excellent. Nancy, getting the link? Okay, if you want it, you can ask us and we can email it for you. Nyla, any information? Oh, there we go. Nyla, any information we want to pass on again to close?
Just to remind students if they having any issues in terms of resetting passwords or anything like that, they have to send a request. I could put my email in the chat, so I'll do that now, and you all can just send a request asking to reset. Also, if you have uploaded a resume and you want that one removed after the session today, and you've done some changes, you could request first to remove the old one. Let me see. I'm seeing a question there about the resume in the chat. Okay, so if you have it in a Word format, the system automatically converts it to a PDF. That's just because that's what the system accepts. It only accepts PDF. But if you have it as a Word, there's a converter there. You should see it on the page. There's a converter. You upload it there and it will convert it into a PDF and we'll receive it as a PDF. So I know we said if you're uploading, we might be able to make changes, but for the purpose of this system, we will only be able to accept PDF files. Yeah, and that's about it. I don't know if anybody has any questions with regard to that I could answer.
Okay, great. So guys, remember to register. I hope we helped a bit. Go view the resume on the website, the resume writing session on the website. Make the changes and do the needful. You want to be proactive, guys, not reactive. You want to be proactive. You want to go ahead and send that information in early, and we can get you up and running. Oh, thanks, Mikhail. We're trying, and thanks, Shakila. We're just trying to give you all that best foot forward. We'll have some other sessions coming up also. If you on My Learning in Careers and Placement, also on our website, last semester we had some very informative sessions. Again, get towards preparing you for the very unique workplace that you'll be transitioning into and giving you some tips about how to make that transition. Also, guys, you want to ensure that you have a strong online presence, preferably LinkedIn. Ensure that your LinkedIn profile is up and running. We are going to have a LinkedIn session. We'll send that information out to you. Be sure, guys, to register because we'll post it on the World of Work website. ETP and CAP students, we'll also ensure to get it to you. On developing your LinkedIn profile, I've seen, past students, for example, that I have on my profile that are working. They just say, hey, I'm looking for XYZ, So you want that strong LinkedIn presence. We'll have a session. A very important part of your online profile is your personal photo or your shot. So 5 individuals that attend this seminar, we have a professional photographer that has partnered with us, and we will be giving out 5 vouchers to 5 of the students who attend the seminar, and he is going to actually give you your professional headshot for free to use in developing your LinkedIn profile. Yeah, we'll have other giveaways as well from our co-sponsor, Republic Bank. So you want to be there, right? You also have a session on February 4th coming up, another session on interview prep. So you want to stay tuned, yeah? As Mr. Romano said, Facebook, Instagram, we put the information out there. And of course, the emails that you get from the team, Ms. Romano and Sabrina and so on. It will keep you abreast of all the sessions. And ever so often, we have a company that will call us. They want to have a session, and we will put it out there. Sometimes it's short notice, like 3 days before. And just because we want to give you all that best opportunity, we'll put it out there for you. Right? Great. So nice seeing you guys. Well, not seeing, no one turned on their cameras for me to see you all. We miss you all. I didn't hear anyone. You're shy, right? But this is the time when you need to get out of that shyness. Oh, guys, very important. Hopefully by the end of the month, possibly before, we will have 2 things. The first one will be an online platform where you can actually practice your online interviewing skills. So we'll tell you all, hopefully we already have it. We are just doing the last minute touches. So you can actually go in, select some questions, interview, answer the questions, and record yourself and listen and view how you responded, right? It shows you how to position yourself on the camera for your best representation in an online interview, since that's our new reality. And the second, I don't know, those of you that are familiar with mock interviews, the mock interviews would traditionally be held in spec, right, as face-to-face. We are actually going to have our corporate partners do it virtually as well. So you'll have an opportunity before the mock interviews at the end of February to actually practice your online interviewing, and then you'll actually be participating in a mock interview via the platform. So lots of exciting things to come. If all goes well, the recruitment fair as well is going to be via a virtual platform, but we have to wait to see how that is going to roll out. Yeah. So anything we can do to help you all, guys, please feel free to reach out, to ask. What Michael saying, truth. You better practice Michael and Shakila and company. Stand in front of your mirror and also practice on the platform. It's an excellent platform used by universities around the world. So you want to go ahead, practice your positioning, how you answer questions, record it, look at yourself, try again until you perfect that art. Yeah, your background, your clothes, and so on. Okay, so if there are no other questions, thank you all so much. Glad you all were here. We had a good turnout and hope to see you all soon. If no one is going to turn on their cameras, I'm going to bid you farewell. And please feel free to reach out to us with any questions or concerns that you may have. however we can help. Yeah. Yeah, you'll turn it. Okay, Danielle. I'll be looking out for it. But we really miss you guys. It's not the same without you all on campus. Yeah. But we look forward to seeing you all again soon, hopefully. Okay. So bye. Take care, Rain.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.